Hey, what's up guys? This is Gino Beats, and in this video we're going to deconstruct how NLE Choppa and Big Sean's Moonlight was made in FL Studio. So this is one of my favorite beats on NLE's recent album, and there are a few instrumental versions out there on YouTube right now, but they are missing a few instruments. Some of the notes are off in the wrong key, so we're going to fix that today. Before we start, this is how I graded myself for the final product of the instrumental. This isn't perfect, but it's pretty close. For those who want, the FLP is in the description. All I ask in return is just a sub. So here's what the intro sounds like. So for the intro right here, it's just a piano and a pad that comes in. I just took a regular Nexus Grand piano and a default FL keys, and here are the notes for those. As far as effects goes, not a whole lot, just some reverb and some delay, and just took out some of the frequencies. For the pad portion, I just used the analog pad in Purity, layered that with Raining Morning pad in Nexus. As far as the strings, there's a stock plugin called Flex, and you can find the strings there. It's called Gentle Force, and here's what those three sound like together. So moving on to bar number 9, we got two new sounds coming in, the synth guitar as well as some high-pitched piano notes. So for the high-pitched piano notes, we're just using Purity and acoustic piano, and here's what that sounds like. And if you listen pretty closely in the song, it almost sounds like there's a reverse effect. Do Alt-Y and it flips the notes horizontally. Then you can export that as a wave and re-reverse it, and that's what we did here. All together sounds like this. For the guitar, we're layering three different sounds together. One from Gladiator called LD Retronica. We're using Slayer actually to just add some distortion. And then the last one is just a synth from Silent One called LD Sidmon. And here are the notes for that. And you'll notice that these two notes just have a slight variation at the end. One is like longer than the other. All right, so now onto the drums. And with all the melodies, it sounds like this. When you first listen to this instrumental, there are actually like a lot of sounds that are mixed out in order to make room for NLE Choppa and Big Sean's voice. But when looking at the drums, here's what we got. So they're using the 707 rim, which is actually like a default pack in your FL Studio drum kits. I just layered it with a different rim to give it more depth. And this is the hard perk from a Pierre-born drum kit. For the hi-hats, pretty much just use one from a basic drum kit. So here's the pattern here. I mean, you can barely hear it in the song, but I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Here's what that sounds like. It's really hard to hear, but there's a snare that comes in every couple bars. It's the TM88 snare, I believe. And altogether, that pattern with the hi-hats and claps sounds like this. So also in the drums, we have this slight cymbal come in. And this only comes in certain bars of the song, but here's what that pattern sounds like. So lastly, there's actually a cymbal that comes in. It's really quiet, but it hits on the last rim right here. And that one is just called Godzilla Open Hat, is found in a drum kit. It sounds like this, like really quiet. Okay, so as for the kicks, I'm pretty sure they layered multiple kicks together, but the ones that I used was from a Boy Wonder kit called Bring Out the Fire. And then I layered that with the traditional rack kick. Here is the kick pattern. And lastly, so this might be up for debate, and it was kind of hard to hear because whoever mixed this, like the engineer, took out a lot of the frequencies, but I'm pretty sure it's not an 808. I would argue that it's a synth. So the bass line that I chose to use was a BS Deep Sub. It's in Silent One. And here are the notes for the bass. So for the bass line, for effects, there wasn't a whole lot, just took out some frequency, added some wider, but really important, if you listen really closely, you can hear a side chain is going on throughout the song. And so for those who don't know, what that means is basically if you link the kick and the bass and you side chain them together, the bass will actually lower in volume whenever a kick is present. And so here's what that looks like, sort of. And so what that means is whenever you see these purple lines, all that means is that the bass is lowering the volume, so there's more room for the kick. So altogether, pretty much the drums sound like this. So the last thing we got to cover is this part right here in the song. It's when I think the engineers just took out a part of it and reversed it to give it a cool effect. So here's what that sounds like all together. And all that's being reversed are these sounds. So you got the open hat, the hi-hat, the rim, and the high-pitched piano notes. And so a really easy way to do that is just take this pattern and then just export this as a WAV file, which is what I did, which is what this is, and then you just reverse it. But while that reverse sample is playing, the pads as well as the kick are still going. So again, that sounds like this. Yep, then it goes back to normal here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a really simple instrumental, but that was one of my favorite beats. If you found this useful, really appreciate a like and subscribe. And let me know below if there's another beat you'd like me to try to make. I'm really open to any suggestions, and I really enjoy this process. So thank you guys again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time.